Leave all the paperwork to me, I told Mike. After we got married, the idea of buying a house began to take shape, but he handed all the responsibilities to me. I figured he didn't want his limited days off consumed by work. I had a job too, but with more free time, so I took the lead as he'd asked. Just as I was about to finalize a deal with our real estate agent, she dropped a bombshell. Your husband's name can't be used to purchase this property due to his annual income. My heart sank. I had no idea his salary was so low. Ultimately, we adjusted the deed to my name and completed the purchase. I'm Anne, a 29-year-old web designer, now in my 7th year in the field. After graduating, I left my first job to pursue freelancing, which I've been doing for the past year. My focus has always been on my work rather than on finances. I've invested my earnings in stocks and built up my assets. My husband, Mike, is 5 years older and works as a delivery driver in the transportation industry. We met by chance at a train station where he chased me down to return the wallet I dropped. Grateful, I invited him to lunch, and before long, we were dating. A year and a half ago, we tied the knot. However, married life hasn't unfolded as I envisioned. Mike works long hours at a demanding job, and my freelancing often leaves me swamped with projects. Currently, we live in a cramped apartment under 400 square feet, and I've been daydreaming about moving into a house. I thought it might inspire us both in our careers. Living in such tight quarters has been stressful, so I decided to bring it up on his day off. Hey, Mike, don't you think it's time we looked for a new house now that we're married? He jumped up from the sofa, sleep still in his eyes, clearly surprised. A house? Sure. This place is feeling small. How about I set some conditions? I blinked, taken aback, as he jotted down his conditions on a notepad. His list included at least 4 rooms, 2 bathrooms, and a wine cellar. I was bewildered. Do we really need a wine cellar? Isn't 1 bathroom enough? I argued, trying to keep things practical. No, that's not acceptable. This is about romance. Buying a house is a once-in-a-lifetime event. I won't settle for anything half-hearted. He insisted, his stubbornness infuriating. I'd rather spend my energy working than debating pointless details. Reluctantly, I agreed to his demands. Okay, let's visit the real estate agent together next time. But suddenly, he looked annoyed. Nah, you can take care of all that, Anne. I'm too tired from work. Just handle it. He flopped back onto the sofa, engrossed in his phone. Does he even realize we're married? We're about to make one of the biggest purchases of our lives, and he's completely checked out. After stating his desires, he returned to his own world. Disheartened, I sighed. Just leave me something that shows your income. I'll need it for the review. You can find it in my box of valuables. Just take it yourself, he replied, putting on his earphones, signaling the end of the conversation. He's not exactly a henpecked husband, but he tends to prioritize his wants while remaining disengaged. Honestly, it feels like he's become self-centered. The sweet guy who returned my wallet seems like a distant memory. I muttered my frustrations under my breath as I headed to my room. That night, I noticed something was off with my body. After wrapping up work, I glanced at the calendar. I realized I hadn't had my period for 2 months. My menstrual cycles were often severe and irregular, so a late month wasn't unusual. But 2 months? My heart raced. Could it be? Anxious, I grabbed the pregnancy test I'd kept on hand. The result was positive. Mike, I'm pregnant. My announcement froze him in front of the TV. Seriously, I continued, feeling the weight of impending parenthood. We should speed up our house hunt. I'm going to see the real estate agent tomorrow. He still looked stunned, disbelief written across his face, but then he shocked me with his next words. What if we just don't have the baby? What? Not have it? I stammered, bewildered. Why would you even think that? I never intended for this to happen. He shrugged. I thought we were just having fun. His thoughtlessness cut deep. I felt as if I'd been struck with a hammer. If we have a child, we can't have fun anymore, he said, sounding like a petulant child. But I wouldn't back down. This was a precious life growing inside me, and a child needed a father. I had to make him understand the gravity of the situation. Looking back, I realized how misguided my thoughts were at the time. Mike, please get it together. People in their 30s around the world start families earlier than we do. I'm willing to give it my all, but you need to step up too. Perhaps moved by my determination, my husband reluctantly relented. All right, I'll do my part. A sense of relief washed over me, and the next day, I went to meet with the real estate agent. The price will be higher than the market average with the conditions you've requested, the agent said, his brow furrowing as he reviewed my list. He then handed me a sheet of paper. This is the only property that meets all your specifications. Among the various options, there was just one that checked all the boxes, but it came with a staggering price tag of $700,000. Given our extensive criteria, the cost was steep, especially now that we were expecting another family member. I couldn't bring myself to compromise. After some deliberation, I declared, I'll buy this property. We moved forward with the purchase process. Please fill out the necessary items on the application form. Who will be the owner? My husband. I began writing, but my pen halted when I reached the annual income section. Wait, Mike earns $25,000. I blurted, shocked as I glanced at the salary statement he had given me. We rarely discussed finances. We both contributed equally to our expenses and saved whatever was left, so I had no clue about my husband's income. It's tough to say, but with that amount, the application might not get approved, the apologetic agent said, his words leaving me feeling embarrassed. By the way, there are a couple of other clients interested in this property. If you don't decide today, it might be sold. The pressure was palpable, and I felt cornered. After hesitating for a moment, I decided to change the ownership to my name. Then, in a bold move, I chose to pay in full. I could easily cover the cost with my savings from stock investments and my grandfather's inheritance. I could always save more later. The agent was initially taken aback by my decision but quickly adapted and managed the rest of the process efficiently. A month later, we moved into our dream home. Wow, this is amazing, Mike exclaimed, excitement lighting up his face as we stepped inside. By the way, are you planning to go back to your parents' house to have the baby? He asked while unpacking boxes. Yes, that's the plan. My hometown is Anchorage. I could have the baby here, but I'd feel more comfortable at my parents' place. Okay, good luck, he replied, but his words felt distant. Doubts began to creep in, as he added, I can't quit my job after the baby arrives, so you'll need to handle the childcare. You're the one who wanted this. My anxiety spiked. What about my job? I asked, my voice shaky. I don't care about that, he shot back, blunt and dismissive. Was his initial support just a fleeting response? As time passed in our new home, I felt the weight of despair settle in as our relationship grew increasingly strained. With only 3 weeks until my due date, my belly growing, I returned to my hometown, where I safely gave birth to a beautiful boy. However, he was born with weak lung function and had to be hospitalized for observation, which meant I had to return to Boston alone. Before I left, my mother said, come back anytime if you need to. In that moment, I truly grasped the essence of motherhood. While I was home, I confided in my parents about my married life. As I shared my thoughts, I noticed their faces growing more somber, and my father's words began to resonate with me. 2 hours after boarding the plane, I arrived back in Boston. I headed straight to our new house, only to find an unfamiliar car parked in the driveway. An uneasy feeling washed over me as I cautiously opened the front door. Inside, I saw shoes scattered everywhere and heard my husband's voice coming from the back. Mom, Dad, feel free to use any of the spare rooms. That's when it hit me, his parents were in our home. I walked into the living room and found his entire family gathered there, his father, mother, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters, including my husband, 7 people in total. What are you all doing here? I demanded as I stepped into the room. Everyone turned to look at me. You're back. You had a boy, huh? Ignoring his casual question, I pressed on. Why didn't you answer my calls? I tried so many times. His sister Mary interjected. Calm down. How's the baby? We were all looking forward to meeting our first grandchild. For now, I replied. He has some lung issues, so I left him in Anchorage. But why are all of you here? The in-laws exchanged glances, and my husband spoke up, as if to represent them. I thought this house was too big for just the 2 of us, and cleaning it would be a hassle. Plus, with the baby on the way, we're all going to live together, 8 of us, including my family. If you don't like it, you can leave. I was speechless. What was he talking about? While I had been struggling through childbirth, he had moved his family in without a second thought, and now he was suggesting I could just walk out? Stunned, I stood frozen for a moment. Then he reiterated. What's it going to be? Are you staying or leaving? As I looked at his indifferent expression, my father's words echoed in my mind. Leave. Leave such a worthless husband and come back here. We can sell the house for a good amount. Sometimes letting go is an important choice. His words made this absurd scene feel trivial, and before I knew it, I spoke up. It seems there's a misunderstanding. I came here to sell the house. My words were a mix of truth and deceit. Since my father had urged me to return home, I had been contemplating our new house. Selling it felt wasteful, yet staying with my husband was becoming increasingly unbearable. So why not just sell it? It was the right moment to express this. I wasn't being emotional. It was necessary. My husband and his family were clearly taken aback by my declaration. Wait a minute. The house is in my name, isn't it? Don't make decisions on your own. That's right. I haven't told you yet, have I? I replied, feeling a sense of empowerment. Told me what? His irritation was palpable. You remember how you left all the house buying details to me, right? Is that so? Even if you had asked me, I wouldn't have known, he retorted. The murmurs among my in-laws grew louder. I interrupted their chatter, saying, that's not important right now. My husband snapped back. To put it simply, your income wasn't enough to pass the credit check for buying a house. I was shocked to learn that at 34, he only earned $25,000. One of my brothers-in-law reacted immediately. What? No way. I make $40,000. The youngest, Emma, who was 27, chimed in with disbelief. As my revelation stirred the room, I noticed my husband starting to sweat, panic setting in. Don't say unnecessary things, he pleaded, his forehead glistening. The truth is the truth, right? The moment you learned I was pregnant, you suggested abortion. Looking back, I should have left you then. The shock on my in-laws' faces deepened. It was evident my husband hadn't confided in them. Please stop this. You're reaping what you sowed, he protested, desperation creeping into his voice. In contrast, I felt calm. I could see the turmoil on his face as Tom, one of his brothers, asked, so why are you selling the house? Because Mike's income wasn't enough to pass the credit check. I decided to purchase it outright. You earn that much? Mike's voice dripped with disbelief. I have a good income from my work. Unlike you, I don't squander money. I've always invested my spare cash in stocks. Now, I can live off the profits and dividends alone. The entire family fell silent, processing my words. I assessed the situation, realizing I was the rightful owner of the house, which meant my husband and his family had no say in the matter. But Mike wasn't ready to accept that. Please don't sell it. Let's live together happily, okay? His strained expression was a mix of desperation and confusion. Seeing how pathetic he looked, I firmly rejected him. Don't be ridiculous. You left everything to others, and now you think you can dictate this? Keep your jokes to yourself. I won't forgive you for what you said about our baby. We're getting a divorce. The word divorce sent a clear wave of panic through my husband. All eyes turned to him, and the weight of the moment hung heavily in the air. Divorce? No, that can't be true. Why did you even think about living with your parents without consulting me? I finally voiced the question that had been weighing heavily on my mind. I wanted to do something for my parents. I thought it was the right thing to do. It was my father-in-law who reacted first to my husband's statement. Don't be ridiculous. It's not filial to take advantage of someone else's hard work and effort. That's right. We came here half expecting you bought the house yourself. But this is just betrayal. My brother is the worst. I can't believe this, came the chorus of disbelief from his siblings. To my surprise, my husband was suddenly under attack from his entire family. I watched as he visibly shrank under their criticisms. Please stop this, he weakly pleaded, but it was clear that everyone was fed up with him. Then both of my in-laws turned to me, offering a deep apology. We're terribly sorry for our son's behavior. We'll leave quietly. Mike, you can do as you please with him, his mother said, her voice sharp. Be quiet, she snapped back at him. He trembled at her words, resembling a male lion being expelled from the pride, stripped of any charm he once had as a man and husband. I addressed him directly. You see now, right? You and I live in different worlds. Chase your own dreams alone. Goodbye. Let's discuss the rest legally, including child support. As I said this, he slowly sank to his knees, remaining motionless for what felt like an eternity. 2 days later, we signed the divorce papers. Next on the agenda was child support. Naturally, I would get custody. My husband lacked both the means and the temperament to raise a child. Just the thought of handing my baby over to such a self-centered man made my skin crawl. Afterward, I returned to Anchorage to pick up my hospitalized child and then back to my parents' house. I could raise my child in peace here. Thankfully, my work is all online, so I wasn't tied down by location. Now, I could live freely and comfortably. As for my ex-husband, he was disowned by his parents after that day and now lives in solitude. I still keep in touch with my former in-laws, so I hear about his situation. My ex-husband, who had always spoken without delicacy, I had naively hoped might change. This experience taught me that people don't change that easily. However, better days are waiting for me now than when I was with my ex-husband. With the arrival of my newborn, I'm now a mother. I must work hard at both my job and parenting. These thoughts filled my mind as I prepared to feed my baby for the first time.